George Galloway lambasted a caller for suggesting the UK should adopt a one-child policy and believed he was also hinting the country should adopt communism after the politician began reading between the lines of his proposal. George Galloway debated with caller Wayne, who suggested the UK and other nations should adopt one-child policies and other forms of population controls, as he branded the current economic system crap and unsustainable. Mr. Galloway pondered what would happen to the elderly if such a plan was put in place, since there would be no workers to look after or support them, to which Wayne said a new system would have to be established. Mr. Galloway began chuckling as he sussed out what Wayne was suggesting and called out his disaster communism proposal before hanging up on him. Speaking on his mother of all talk shows, Mr. Galloway was concerned about the growing number of elderly in the UK and the labour shortages across the country. Mr. Galloway looked at Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the news he was expecting another child and said increasing the birth rate would be a good way to tackle the problems in the UK. But caller Wayne disagreed and said the world should consider population controls, as he feared the environmental impact of a rising population. Mr. Galloway asked him, "And we're going to be doing that by asking people to only have one child? What if the answer is in the negative and people say stuff you Wayne in Cheshire, well, have as many children as we like, what do you do then?" He replied, "Well, as we found with the injections and COVID, people around the world are quite easily manipulated. And you give them the facts of things, I think things will change." Mr. Galloway then asked, "How are we going to sustain a prosperous standard of living if our population is increasingly elderly and not working? But we are not being replaced by productive workers. It is estimated around 68 million people live in the UK, with some calling for curbs on population numbers to solve domestic issues. A shortfall in house building caused by the banking crisis and government failures has left many young people in the UK struggling to get on the housing ladder." Wayne suggested his solution and said, "My theory is that when that comes to play, which it will in this capitalist society, it will force society to embrace a new system which will cope." Mr. Galloway scoffed and remarked, "Well, I've heard some cockamamie definitions of communism in my life, but you Wayne take the biscuit."